Hey, what's up? This is your girl Diamond. I go live every Friday at 7 p.m., but I couldn't go today, so I decided to go this morning. And it is actually where I'm located is 5 o'clock p.m., but at my Houston, Texas time, it's around 10 in the morning. But we're going to talk about this Kendrick Lamar, this new album, but a particular song that's relevant to us called Auntie's Diaries. Hey Kay, how are you? I know we early, but I couldn't go live yesterday. I tried to, but we were too busy. And being I just came from the beach, being a beach babe, look at my tan lines. Y'all see this one? Tan lines, baby. Yes. Trying to be a bronze goddess instead of a pale mole rat. It is 5 p.m. here. I know it's like 10 or um, 11 in the US, right? Well, Central Time is 10. Hey, Bella, how are you? How are you, MJ? But yes, it is 5 p.m. here. And before I get hungry, I wanted to come talk to y'all about this. How was y'all doing this morning? Let me go to my 11 a.m. in church. It used to look so relaxed. I am so relaxed. Um, I feel good. I've been posting a lot of my travel pictures on my Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, you can go check some of those out. I've been trying to keep. One thing about me is I'm a person that lives in the moment. So and I'm mm, you would think that I don't know how to explain this, but I'm kind of old school in the way you would think I'm not because I'm like a social media person. But when I'm in a moment, I don't automatically be like, let me record it. I'll be in the moment like, oh my God. Like I know if I was like at a Beyonce concert or if I was at a some concert, I would be looking at the stars singing. I wouldn't be the one sitting there trying to record the moment. That's not really who I am. That's not how I think. I think like, oh my God, I'm in front of Beyonce and she's singing. Look at her mouth move and the vocal tones come out. I'm a person that lives in the moment. I don't want my memory of a moment twiddling through a phone to get the camera up and get the right angle and get you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I don't want that. And so I don't really think about it. But the positive of that is that I really have great memories of moments that have happened in my life, right? Really great memories. But the flip negative side of that is that sometimes that memory is just in my head and I'll forget certain things that happen because I'll remember certain moments, but I wanted to remember this. Especially if you're on just a trip where you are, doing things. So I don't just always think about taking pictures. And also, when I'm on vacation, I'm really in relax mode. I'm not in be fabulous mode. Does that make sense? So sometimes to myself, I'm not looking fabulous. Now, on this trip, I was very intentional that when I was doing certain things, I wanted to look sickening. Like we did a boat trip yesterday, and I wanted to, I knew that in Nice, there's a beach called the Blue Beach, and it's because the water is so blue and clear and gorgeous. And so I knew that our boat was going to be going through that water, and it's giving this kind of French Riviera vibe. It's just right. So I said, I want to be red. I want to have on red. I want to be in a red dress that's flowy and blowing as the fucking billowing in the wind as the fucking boat tipped through these beautiful blue waters. And that was my vision for myself. And so I bought my red dress and I was fabulous. If you would like to see pictures of it, you can go on my Instagram. It's gorgeous. I love it. So I knew that I was going to have a moment in, I wanted to create that moment. Um, and there's just certain things that I wanted to do. So this trip, I really intentionally had looks that I wanted to go for. I'm more of a eclectic dressing kind of girl. I don't mind a brim. I don't mind a lot of jewelry in regards to statement jewelry, different prints. I'm kind of an eclectic kind of person. I am still in Europe, so I kind of try to. I wanted certain looks, like when I went to the Louvre in Paris. I wanted a certain type of look while I was there, and I also want my fashion. The best compliment that people give me when it comes to fashion that I feel good is when people ask me, "Where are you from? You don't dress like you from here." And that's no matter where I'm at. Like if I'm wherever I'm at. I think the only place that I don't get it is like New York, because New York has so many different people with eclectic fashions, but other places, um, mostly everywhere else, when people see me, they're like, you don't dress like you're from here. Like it looks good, but you can tell that you are from somewhere else, because I have created my own sense of style. And so, yes, I've been intentionally taking pictures. So if you want to see them, make sure that you follow me on Instagram. I have posted a lot of them. I'm with you. I also have to stop taking so many videos instead of pics, because videos can be printed and passed down in an album. Mm, yeah, I don't know. I've always felt like I wanted to enjoy the moment, and so pull out my camera ain't my first mindset. uh, how has y'all week been? What's been going on? So we have what has been popping. I really haven't been seeing any. We already talked about Kevin Samuels dying. Taking pictures is too hard. I don't know. I'm really good at taking other people's pictures. The the problem with me usually is the people I'm with don't take good pictures in regards to them taking pictures of me. So it's kind of hard to get a really good picture. Um, but I've taken photography classes and courses, and I'm really good at photography, just because it's like a hobby of mine. And so I know how to make people look good. So usually if I'm on a trip with people, I know how to make their pictures look good, but they don't know how to make my pictures look good. So it kind of sucks. Um, so yeah. Mm, Where we at? We're gonna start in the conversation in about 1 minute. We do gotta follow your Instagram then. Yeah, follow me on Instagram. It's Diamond Styles, DIAMOND STYLZ is in zebra. And the link should be in the bottom in the show notes. I hope y'all have listened to the song, because I don't want to play the song on here because copyright. They will flag um the video if the song is playing. Yeah. Do, 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 do. I've been enjoying your holiday content. How are you finding Europe? What else are you going to explore? This is actually the third leg of the trip, the third and last leg of the trip. So the first part of the trip, we went to Paris. The second part of the trip, we went to London. And the third part of the trip, we are in the French Riviera, Nice, France. And yeah. Nice has been a dream of mine. To come to Nice has been a dream of mine since I was probably in fifth grade. One of my teachers, his name is Mr. Vendetti, um, in Brockton. He taught at this school called the Arnone Elementary in Brockton, Massachusetts. And if y'all don't know, I grew up in Indianapolis. That's my birthplace. But when I was young, we moved to Boston, Massachusetts, and stayed there for a bunch of years. And so when I tell people where I'm from, I say Indianapolis, but I grew up in Indianapolis and Boston. I don't really just talk about Boston that much though, because most of my important events happened while I was in Indianapolis. So I'm usually talking about Indianapolis, but but Boston too. That's something some of y'all might not have known. Um, but yeah, my teacher, Mr. Vendetti, he's the one who really sparked my um, he sparked my interest in reading. Like he gave me books that were I'm gonna say adult books, like uh, they were just more mature than other teachers would give me, and it felt like I was reading adult books, not in sexual nature, but um, just adult. And so, coming out of boxcar children into something more serious. And so he's the one who I attribute to influencing me to love reading. And so one, I don't know when it was, but like a couple of weeks into the year, he went on vacation to Nice, France. And I was so pissed because at this time, it was a very depressing time of my life. It was around, this is fourth, fifth grade. He's my fifth grade teacher. So fourth and fifth grade, really from third to like shit, third to sixth, school was not a good place. So that's what from third grade to sixth is when the worst of the bullying was starting, and I hadn't learned. Um, I hadn't learned to defend myself and fight. I started fighting in like third grade, but I didn't. I hadn't got to the point where I enjoyed it. When I got to like seventh grade, I enjoyed fighting people. I enjoyed being ass. uh, but from third to like sixth, I fought always in fear. I didn't want to fight. I just had to. And so these were ugly times. Anyway, so in fifth grade, he um he went on vacation to Nice, and I was so pissed off because he was my favorite teacher. And if you take him out of the equation of school, there was nothing in school that I liked. And so when he left for that like week or whatever, I was so pissed. But he came back with these amazing little candies. He came back with these pictures. He came back with all these stories and stories about his picture. I really think that he was a undercover gay white man. If I'm to be honest, and I think that's why I resonated with him. Um, uh, so in my mind, I don't know. I think he might have been. But he brought these fabulous pictures. He always had the best. Um, he was just always dressed so fabulous and fly, and he always just treated me good. And he just sparked my interest of Nice as a location because I never had heard of I'm a hood little girl from Post Road, Indianapolis. So he's the first person who introduced me to the ideas of luxury, the ideas of going to a far off place, as on vacation, going somewhere for a temporary time. That whole idea in my brain of what a vacation is and what luxury is and all of that kind of stuff. In my mind when I was younger, I probably was like, this is what white people do. Black people don't do this. you know, thinking because poor black people don't. But but at that time I was like, oh, this is this is something special that I don't get to do because I'm poor. And so niece, I always associated with luxury. I always associated with, ooh, I dream of going to Nice. And so here I am in my 40s, 41 to be exact, and finally fulfilling a lifelong dream to come to Nice and swim in the blue waters on Blue Beach and go to try to look for places that I remember that he had in those pictures. And it looks exactly how his pictures look because there's places here that have been here for years, um, and it's just beautiful. I love it. This is a dream come true. Just a dream trip. It's my first time overseas. First time coming to Paris. First time going to London. Um, and first time going to Nice. This was my 40. COVID fucked up my plans for my 40th birthday because that was going to be a big my 40th birthday was going to be my big to do something. um, but because COVID and all that bullshit, I didn't really get to celebrate my 40th birthday in the big way that I wanted. So and not sitting at home and not spending during COVID allowed me to kind of save my coins and do something big for myself. And so, even though it's almost a year and a half after my 40th birthday, this was my 40th birthday trip to do. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. How's the language barrier? So of course there was no language barrier in London because that's English. Paris, most people speak two languages, definitely English because it's so close to, England. Most people speak French and English, so there was no issue in Paris for language. People spoke English just as well as they spoke French. And so there was no language barrier there. Here in Nice, total opposite. Most people here speak French and they do not speak English. This is not, this is a touristy place, but it's not as touristy as Paris, where it behooves you to learn English. But here is not like that. This is more, honey, you need to learn French if you want to fuck with us because we're gonna make our coins regardless. And so it's more of a barrier here, but it's also quite easy. It's easy to navigate. It's easy to navigate because most people know a little bit of English. That's the privilege of being American and traveling abroad. Um, People in the same way that we fetishize British people coming over here, um, they, in my experience, they fetishize us because when you're not talking, I know in Paris in particular, when you're not talking and they can't tell that you're American, they're treating you like shit because they treat black people like shit. Um, But soon as you talk and they can tell you're American, it's like, oh, bonjour. Da, 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 da. They talk to you and be nice to you. But if they think that you're like African or if they think that you are um, a local black person, I noticed that they were treating us like shit until they heard our accent. They were asking where we were from, and when we say America, oh, wonderful, da 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 da, Obama, Trump, Hillary, Beyonce, all of that. And so, yeah, no barrier, no barrier in the other two places. All right, so let's talk. Let's talk, y'all. Let's talk about Kendrick Lamar. So, how many of y'all have heard the song? Not the whole album. If you heard the whole album, good. But have you heard the song um, by Kendrick Lamar? The song is called Auntie Diaries. All right. Have y'all heard the song? Mm. So, I have not even heard the song, only the controversy at this point. I don't feel like listening. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. So, the song is about I don't know how many minutes. I don't know how many minutes the song is. It's a song, so it's not super long. Um, but yeah, so the beginning of the song, the intro starts off with Kendrick Lamar and Eckhart Tolle. Anybody know him? He's one of them kind of one of the book that I really he's an author. One of the books that I like him is when he talks about the ego. He's really good at discussing ego things about about how to get your ego in check because a lot of people's problems that their social problems revolved around your ego and you not having your ego in check. Um, yeah, and so that's one of my favorite books by Eckhart Tolle, where he discusses ego. But it starts off with this clip repeating in the beginning of the song, and the lyrics to the clip is "Heart plays in ways the mind can't figure out. Heart plays in ways the mind can't figure out. Heart plays in ways the mind can't figure out. This is how we conceptualize human beings." Okay. And so that's a great intro to what he's about to talk about. Um, and the first verse, I'm going to read the first verse. And yeah, so he says, "My auntie is a man now. I think I'm old enough to understand now. Drinking Parmesan with her hat turned back, Motorola pager, off-white guest jacket, Blue Air Maxes, gold chains, curl kits, 1993 Nissan wax job, the earliest, big social, big personality, vocal, played the underground verbatim and stayed local. My aunt is a man now. I watched him and his girl hold their hands down, tip of the avenue, under streetlights, made his thinking, I want me a bad bitch when I get big. They hug on the corner like California King, cold hand all up her skirt, car whistling down the road. See, my auntie is a man now. Slight bravado, scratching like lights from the lotto, hoping that she pull up tomorrow so I can hang out in the front seat. 6 by 9, keeping the music up under me. My auntie is a man now. Ask my mama why my uncles don't like him that much. And at the party, why they always want to fight him that much. She says, ain't no telling, niggas always been jealous because he had more women, more money, and more attention made them more envious, calling him anything but broke was less than offending. So that's the first verse. So that's about his aunt who transitioned to be a man. Okay. And in that conversation, it's really, to me, now a lot of people are having a problem with what's being said, and this is why. So in the chorus, it says, "My auntie is a man now. I think I'm old enough to understand now. Drinking Parmesan with her hat turned backwards." Back then, it was comedic relief to say, "Faggot, faggot, faggot, faggot." We ain't know no better. Excuse me. We ain't know no better. Elementary kids with no feature. However, my auntie became a man and I took pride in it. She wasn't gay. She ate pussy. That was the difference. That's what I told my friends in second grade. She picked me up from school. She shared. They stared at her face. They couldn't comprehend what I grew accustomed. We pulled up bumping quick like it was nothing. My aunt is a man now. What a relationship. I grew up fast. I needed no one to babysit. He gave me some cash and then gave me some game. Cherry fresher on the dash. I never complained. She even cut my hair at the pad. Was loving my fade. The first person I seen write a rap. That's when my life had changed. House full of demos, smoke stuck up in the windows, camera on the microphone, all women and men though. My aunt was a man now. We cool with it. The history has trickled down and made us ignorant. So let me stop there. That's really deep and interesting, but really cool at the same time. I wonder what made him speak about it. So, because he said the F bomb over and over and over, he is right. And in this conversation, in this verse right here, he is going back and forth, calling her a she, calling him a him. Like, it's going back and forth, and I think it's quite beautiful because, to me, rap music, songs, this is art. This is their art. This is their poetry. This is They're trying to tell you a story using words and rhythm and a musicality, and that's what it is. So this is we're supposed to. I don't think people should not talk about it, but we're supposed to dissect and understand why this artist who is releasing new art to us for us to critique and explore. Why did this artist choose this subject matter in this time, and what can we learn from it? And so from this conversation, for me, let me I took some notes. So I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the conversation because there's there's some choices in words that people are complaining about. Him using the word faggot and him misgendering her. Y'all can't be this obtuse. Like, this is a person who's sharing his experience of a trans person in his life. You can't think that in him sharing his story about this trans person, that everybody is not automatically going to be on board with using the right pronouns, learning when to use the right pronouns, especially if you are a child coming up with a person who is transitioning. If y'all go back and listen to my interview with my little brother, I got multiple ones, but the very, very first one, when he was like 21, he he talked about, if you look at the comments, which I love. That's what I love about my YouTube channel. Like, you can really dissect the history of what has happened in the past decade. In the comments with my brother, people was complaining about my brother saying the fag word, saying fag. And I'm like, and he says, oh, when my brother watches the video and sees what's being said in the comments, my brother says, oh, I didn't know fag was a bad word. You use it all the time. And so he's like in the context that we were using it. He knows that in certain contexts, like nigga, it can be seen as derogatory, but in certain conversations, based on living with me, it can be used in different words because as a trans woman who has tons of gay male friends, who have tons of dyke friends, who have tons of trans friends that he grew up around, he hear us saying, "Oh, he's a fag," and it's not a pejorative. Do you see what I'm saying? Like we're just saying it, and he grew up accustomed to hearing that word. So in a conversation with me and him explaining it, he's gonna say fag. He goes like, "Yeah, I just thought this is, everybody said that he was a fag, but he was cool." Like he wasn't saying anything. He wasn't pointing it at somebody. Like, in the sense of I'm being mean and I'm saying calling you a negative name because of your sexuality. He's saying is this is what my sister calls these type of people. And so this is what I thought that this is what it is. And so me and him in that moment had the conversation about language and how it means something different coming from me and coming from you as a straight boy. And so somebody who's listening to you might not understand that you grew up around me and it is a part of your vocabulary in a certain way. There's certain words that my brother will use that are gay lingo words. And he's old enough to know that, oh, this is a gay lingo. He's old enough to know that this is gay lingo and not now, but when he was younger, he would say things and people would be like, "What?" Like they would clock that this is gay lingo, and he was like, "Oh, this is something that my people use." His people being me and the people he grew up around that were connected to me. So if he'll say, "Oh yeah, that nigga's late," saying something is late is gay lingo as hell. Do you see what I'm saying? Say not late as in not on time, but in our culture, saying something is late or tired or shady, those little words all come from us in regards to the context that we use it. And so he would say that, like saying something, "Oh, it's no tea." My brother, shit that the cis boys are doing now, that we're noticing that they're taking because the cis girls are using it around them and they're taking it. Like I remember I seen a group of straight boys, and one of the straight boys was like, "It's no shade." It's no shade, but nigga, I don't really fuck with him like that. But he doesn't know that saying it's no shade comes from us. Do you see what I'm saying? Because our culture is so spread out into the mainstream now that you get what I'm saying? They don't know that some of the things that they are saying come from us. And so that's kind of my brother was like that years ago because he was raised around me. And so he had to learn that, oh, these are not words that normal people use. So I got to be conscious of when I use it and when I don't use it. So when I was interviewing him, he's in a comfortable space with me when we're talking about certain things. And so in regards to I got the "it's no shade" from you. Yeah, because that's really particularly black queer bossing, not necessarily bossing, um, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that comes from there. Um, yes, so he's using the fag word, and everybody is, I think, it's being stupid and dumb. Like you shouldn't be saying the F word. And they're comparing it to the N word. I think that anybody who is comparing the F word to the N word in a context of art, I think is stupid. I don't know. I think it's dumb and I think it's stupid. I think that um, him telling his story about how he moved the needle, how he accepted the humanity of this trans person in his life, which he literally says it in the lyrics. He literally says in the lyrics, we would say it for comedic relief. Like he literally says that. He was like, we would say that just to say it. He was like, back when it was comedic relief to say the F word, we didn't know no better. elementary kids with no filter. You know what I'm saying? He was like, we are kids. And so saying that word was, when people say, oh nigga, that's gay. These were things that you don't learn until you get older when somebody check you on it, that, oh, I may not shouldn't say that. Like I might not shouldn't say that. You see what I'm saying? But not allowable for non-blacks to say it. So this is my thing. If a but so let me explain that too. So I think that there's a difference between hard R, N word, and a nigga. I think those are two different things. One derived from the other, but I think those are two different things for me, and culturally. And so me and Tommy Ross talked about it in our video. Um, in our video, where there is a culture of people as black folks who say nigga, and it's a word of endearment, and we say it, and oh, this nigga is trying it. Oh, this nigga too much. Damn, that nigga fine. We say it. It's a part of the culture. You're not gonna get around it. There's gonna be people like me who are going to continue to say it. There's gonna be some people who's like Oprah. No, I'm not gonna say it. That's not. They make they. It has more. I don't want to say sentimental value, but it has more. I don't know what the word is, and I'm not gonna try to think about the word, but it's more serious to them. They take it to a deep place where, the N word is the last word some people heard before they was hanged on the tree. They take it to a very deep place, and it's understandable. Understanding, I don't do that, so I don't put that in the same place. I understand it from Oprah's generation. They were so close to the generation that got lynched. They were so close. I'm not of that generation. I'm 40. So I'm not connected unless it's great folks to people who got lynched. In a sense to where there's an emotional thing to where I would connect it to that. So if a white person was talking about his experience of coming out of being a skinhead or being a Nazi or being a racist, of a white supremacist racist to the extreme sense. If he was writing a book talking about conversations that he had as his old self, in the context of explaining how he thought then, how what his mindset was then, why he would use that language, when he is sharing a book or a song or or some type of art form that is explaining his mindset in why I use that word and where I am now, I would not be mad at him using the N word hard R. Because if that's what you use at your Klan meetings, why would I need you to say N word? Why would I need you to? I don't. To me, it doesn't need to be censored in that way. If the context of if the context of you using this is to explain why this was a problem and where you were here and where you are now, which is what Kendrick Lamar is doing when he's talking about using the F word in that context of art. I don't see those as wrong. But I wouldn't want Kendrick Lamar in general conversation. We're hanging out and you using the F word as a cishet man. Out of that context, just using it. No, you, white man, I wouldn't want you to use that word out of the context of your art and just saying it, no, it's just a no, not at all. I don't want you. It's not for you. Uh, and I don't. I think language is a ever evolving thing. We learn there are new words that are hip that are new connotations of words that happens all the time. I don't think it's confusing to switch to understand the nuance of language. We do it all the time. So something being confusing about language to the non-LGBT people or non-black people when we talk about language, it is not that confusing. I don't think we should dumb people down. People are smart enough to get the nuances, especially people who speak English, because there are words that if you use them in a certain way, they mean one thing, and if you use it in a whole other way, they mean another thing. Like the word red, READ, red can mean so many things based on the context that you use it, but it sounds the same. It sounds like the color red. It sounds like I read something. Um, yeah, it's so many things. So like that's one example. The language is something that it's important to understand that it's an ever evolving living entity. It's something that is constantly changing, and we adjust with it. When new words, when we start saying whatever the new word, any kind of new word. Like I remember in the 90s, in late 80s, early 90s, we were saying things were dope. Man, that's dope. They don't really say dope now, sometimes or whatever. But it's gonna be another, and then something else happened. Um, we adjust to things like this. We adjust to things. And so people aren't that stupid. People aren't that dumb. So I'm not gonna dumb down and think that it's that white people or straight people are so confused. I don't know when I'm supposed to use the F word and when I'm supposed to use the N word. It's not that confusing to know when. It's really not. And it's not that hard to find out to know when and why not. It's not that hard. And so let me go to my other part, my other note. So, and let me give a caveat to this. This doesn't mean that it's not okay for you to set a boundary for what's okay for to be said in your presence. Got it? I want that to be clear. Just because I don't mind reading somebody's words and da 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 da, that doesn't mean that it should be okay for you if you say, like, I don't want my white friends using the N word. Okay, I don't want my white friends doing it, but if you say it's okay for your white friends to do it, they can do it in front of you. That's you, but they also are not dumb. No, you know that word carries a lot of weight. And so you got to be very conscious of who you use that word in front of, because that's going to be very different for different people. One person, it might get you popped. Another person, it's like, oh, cool, bro. Yeah. Some people that's cool, but some people it's not. And so you have to they it's their job to be conscious of that, not ours. And so I say, I think writers, poets, and rappers can choose whatever words they feel are relevant and effective to express their point, particularly the point of the story that they're trying to tell. Like I said, I think rappers and poets and writers are storytellers. They're explaining something. They're setting up an atmosphere, giving you um, a vibe. And so he made some word choices that I thought were appropriate. I think the F word holds, and I'm saying F because I feel like it's gonna it's gonna flag it. Um, I feel like the F word holds strong connotation to this subject matter. This subject is about trans people, okay? And I don't know a trans person that ain't a trans um, assigned male at birth person that hasn't been called a faggot at some point in their life. A fag, a faggot. I don't know a assigned male person that not been called that word. And so that word has a certain level of cultural connotation to it. It has a certain level, it brings up memories. That word is appropriate to use in the context of the story that he's trying to tell. Got it? And so to me, I think it's important for people to be able, it's like if somebody's telling a story, if somebody's doing a movie, um, a slave movie, okay? Somebody doing a movie about slaves or with a slave character or around the time that slavery exists. Do you think those white people is not going to say the hard R N word? And you think because of you going to get mad at them saying it that they should change the word in that movie? In the script of that movie when that's not what the real people would say during that time? What? Why would you think that? That's it doesn't excuse me. It doesn't make sense to think that we're going to censor language when it's appropriate that is the word. That's the word that would be used. And so to me in Kendrick Lamar's song, he's telling you the word that they would have used when he was in elementary as a kid. That's what I would say. Because we didn't know any better. That's literally what he says. We didn't know any better. And he is giving you, to me, he's giving you he's giving you the context of what he's talking about. He's telling you how this person, this assigned female at birth person, my auntie, is now my uncle now. And how things change with how he thought about her. And then he keeps switching back and forth. I need some drink. 1 second. He's telling a story, but I'm not going to police people who feel upset by his usage of the word. I normally would say that, but I have a problem with it. I have a problem with it. I think it's being intentionally obtuse, willfully ignorant. It's I don't know. I use the slavery example to try to explain it. I think it would be stupid for us to complain about a slave movie using the N word, like in the script. Why do you have these white people in the script saying the N word? What do you think they would have used if it was set in back this time? It doesn't make sense for us to say, "Oh, these white people. Why are you saying that word in this in this film?" Because that's what they would have said. And this is a piece of art that is storytelling in this time period. Why wouldn't they say that? It's like what? Um, if if they did a if they did a movie about Trump and he called somebody a bitch and somebody said, "Oh, you shouldn't use that word. That's derogatory towards women." But that's what he would have said. He's a misogynistic asshole. But if I'm telling a story about Trump, that's what he was saying. Why it just doesn't, I don't know if that's a good example, but I don't, it's just when you're telling a story, sometimes you're gonna use the language that is it's a bad language. people in people back in my time of being bullied and talked shit to were not using the F word. They were saying fag and faggot. They were not saying you F word, you gay blade F word. That's not what they were saying. So if a dude was telling a story, if a dude was telling me a story, telling us a story about how he was a bully and things that he would say to people that he would be bullying, and he says, "Yeah, I used to call him a faggot." Okay, yeah, you did. He was like, "Yeah, that was fucked up. But yeah, I used to call him that, and I thought it was shady. I wouldn't do that now, but it was shady." In that context of what he's telling me, I'm not going to be offended by him saying the F word. But if we're walking down the street and he says, "Oh, look at this faggot," I'm gonna be like, "Yo, what? What the fuck is wrong with you?" I think the context matters. And people who act like context doesn't matter, I think they're dumb. I'm sorry. I think it's stupid. I think you're just trying to be so it's acceptable for non-LGBT people to use the F word. That's for you to answer for yourself. I have a friend. I have a friend. She was talking about herself, and she was using the tranny word, and she was referencing herself in a sarcastic way, and one of her friends got offended that she used the word. Now this is two trans women that she used the word tranny, referring to herself, and her homegirl got offended, and so that's another example. You don't get to tell me what I can use and what I in the context I use something. You know, there are going to be consequences when people get offended, and you can't control whether somebody is offended or not. So you get to decide. You as a person get to decide if it's acceptable or it's not. I am not telling Kendrick Lamar, people who listen to him, that it should be acceptable. If they are offended, they can be offended all they want. I'm sharing my own personal opinion about his lyrics and people's critique of his lyrics. I, Diamond Styles, think that it is stupid for someone to take the context of what he's saying out of it and say he just can't say it because he's straight. I think that's stupid. No, he did not call himself the F word. He says he didn't call anybody. He says that's the word that he would say for comedic relief. Let me go back to the lyrics. He says, my auntie is a man now. I think I'm old enough to understand now. Drinking Parmesan with her had turned back when it was comedic relief to say faggot, 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 faggot. We ain't know no better. Elementary kids with no filters, however. So he's saying that when they didn't know any better, when it was a comic relief to say these words, this is what they were saying back then. These are words that they were saying. Elementary kids with no filter. However, my auntie became a man now, and I took pride in it. Like he's sharing his how the needle moved for him. So I want to go further. We've been on this first verse. So let's go into the second verse. Because the whole song is about, to me, my interpretation of the song. The whole song is he is sharing his familial experience with transness and how he experienced their transness in his life from a kid on to an adult, and how he comes to know about transness, how his needle moved from being just innately ignorant because the world is ignorant. Because the world is ignorant. When we think about gay people, when we think about trans people, even LGBT people, we have to undo what we were learned, what we were taught about gay people, what we were taught about trans people, and unlearn it, and accept it in ourselves because it's who we are. You feel what I'm saying? But we were taught that homosexuality was wrong. We were taught, or deviant, maybe not wrong. If you were in a more accepting family, you might have been taught that it's not the norm. You know what I'm saying? It's the other. Maybe not wrong, but if you grew up any kind of Christian churchy, you grew up that it was wrong and sinful and blah 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 blah. So if you have accepted that within yourself, if you accepted that you are LGBT, you actually had to go against what you were taught. We all do that. And so what he's sharing is that how he grew up in it, how he thought about it, and how he shifted the needle because he started to pay attention to what was happening to the people around him. And even in that first verse about his aunt, who is a man now, he's talking about how people would treat her bad. And he asked his mom, why they be trying to fight her? And his mom is saying, because they jealous of her because she get bitches. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, he's giving you the play-by-play about when I was growing up and I'm questioning these things around me, this trans person around me, and the things that are happening and what I'm observing with this person. This person is treating me, giving me a fade when she cut his hair at the time. And you know what I'm saying? And he's going back and forth with the pronouns because that's what's going to happen with kids. Have you ever been around kids who knew your tea? It's going to go back and forth. It's going to go back and forth. So to me, this is a true account of a very honest observation of somebody experience with transness as a cishet young boy. And I'm pretty sure if you talk to my brother or you talk to my little cousins, they will have some of these similar experiences. Yes, this song is from the perspective of his younger self. He's talking about him being a little boy and coming up around his auntie, who is a man now. How he cut his hair, just all these different scenarios. You can search the lyrics. In a way, this can be really influential. Not in a way, it is. Like, yes, yes, God, chaotic creation. This is powerful. We haven't seen this done in this way. By an artist to his stature, we have not seen an artist examine his experience with a trans person this deeply in a song that is going viral, in a song that is from somebody who is the at this peak of their skill. Like he's considered one of the greats, Kendrick Lamar, the current greats. And so somebody examine and being specific about it. We have people maybe mention transness in a way, but I'm talking about this whole song is about trans. And that's another thing. A lot of people who have these critiques are the LGB and not the T. I haven't seen these negative critiques about this song by trans people. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but in my circle of people, I haven't seen this conversation happening with trans people. It is the gay boys that I'm seeing have this critique about this song. But this song is about the T. And so that's a whole other conversation about overstepping your boundaries, but I don't want to do that because I think it's a cultural conversation that everybody needs to have. It's honestly a culture shifting song from the current GOAT. I don't know about the GOAT, but maybe to some people I've heard him being called a GOAT. You're one. I was shook. I think for the average straight man listening to it, it's very helpful. Absolutely. I think let's get to the second verse, y'all. Because the second verse, this is where I get kind of concerned. Because there's some choices that's been made in this. And this is a song that you wrote. And so for me, I feel like he's trying to relate, and he did, absolutely. I feel like this is a song that he did that anyway, I'm gonna go to the second verse. All right, you ready? My auntie is a man now. We cool with it. The history has trickled down and made us ignorant. My favorite cousin said he's returning the favor and following my auntie with the same behavior. So he went from a little boy to dealing with the trances of his auntie, going to be a man. And then years later, now I'm a teenager. My favorite cousin, this is somebody on my level. You know what I'm saying? This is my cousin. This isn't my auntie. Clock that. This is my cousin now. So now I have experienced one trans person, and then somebody else has decided to transition. The first person is from female to male, and he talks about the masculinity and da 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 da, and how there's a level of I say that wait, because I'll talk about that. I say, excuse me, in the first verse, the intimacy that he conveys responding to his uncle's masculinity, that seemed to be like an admiration or even a mentorship that parallels to men. So when we think about him looking at his uncle, his new uncle, the way he describes it is he see him with the chicks, he see him riding in the cars, he see him doing these things that he like to do, that he's admiring other men doing. So there's a parallel that he is seeing with his trans uncle with the other men. But he also is seeing the clash that is happening in their social circle. That's why he asked his mom, like, why don't they like him? Why they try to fight him? And the mama is like, cuz he he be getting the bitches. He been getting the bitches before he did this. And so he's learning to relate, like, oh, y'all just be a hater because he getting bitches. But I'm also liking how he getting the bitches. So I'm having this parallel of mentorship and relationship and relating to him in a different way. That not a different in the same way that I would a cisgender man, and I'm seeing it and I'm reacting to it. And so I thought that was powerful. He's literally making the connection between himself and the observation of how they are navigating the world. This is a little boy making this observation. And to me, that reminded me, and it allows him to see his uncle's humanity. And it reminded me of my younger brother. My younger brother said this as well. I remember when I talked to him when he got older, he was like, you know what, really, really, he was like, because we grew up, and when I grew up, you were a boy. You know what I'm saying? And you transitioned and started to live your life as a girl. I knew you was a boy, but I didn't have any resistance to calling you a girl and calling you she, because I knew that's what you wanted me to wanted me to call you. But I can't. He was like, I can't really say that I was like, oh, that's not my brother, or I knew that there was a difference between you and other girls. And he was like, but really what solidified me seeing you as a woman is when he says, when I lived with him, he was like, prior to this, it was just, you are my sister and I don't want to be mean to you. You are my sibling and I don't want to be mean to you. And I know you want me to call you a girl and I know you want me to call you the girl pronoun. So I'm going to do it because I love you, not because in my mind I believe it. Okay. He was like, but what really got me to understanding that you are just a girl is when he lived with me and my boyfriend. He said, and he says, seeing men who date me. He lived with me and my first love, not my first love, my first mutual love, let's say that. Jonathan is my first love we both love each other and we're in this situation. I had loves before him, but it was some down low shit. um, he lived with us. And prior to that, he was like, I would have thought that everybody who dated you was gay, but me living with you and Jonathan, he was just a regular dude. He was just a regular, um, he was just a regular dude, and you were just a regular girl, and y'all were just kind of doing regular couple stuff. And it's just something about that scenario made it click for me. And this is how my brother was explaining it. He was like, it was something about me seeing y'all in this normal boyfriend and girlfriend setting that it allowed me to see him as just a regular dude who likes a girl, and you as a girl who likes a dude. It just was so obvious to me. And so from that point on, my brother started to see in a different light, and that's what it feels like, seeing that connection and seeing how I'm relating to the world and seeing how our love is real, seeing those things in his own world, connected to his own world, allowed him to see my humanity. And one of the things that research has shown us is that when trans people are in somebody's lives and they know them on a personal level, usually those people support trans rights. It's the people who are not in community with us that are allowed to be like, no, I'm not with that, because they haven't been allowed to see our humanity. We are still the freak of nature in their brains. That shouldn't exist, and I don't want this to exist. But if you are in community with us, you are forced to see our humanity and see how we are really just normal people. And it was perfect that the song intro, the heart plays in ways the mind can't figure out. Because the further you are away from trans people, the easier it is for them to have like this cerebral and emotionally disconnected hate for us via religion, outdated or oversimplified science around nature, being, you know, being close to us kind of kills that vibe, because those things that you're making up that are not true, just don't, you can't sit and listen to me and sit and be in community with me and not see me as a human. If I have the same needs and same cares and same thing, it takes a person like a sociopath to not have that kind of heart, because you are in community with me. So anyway, let me go to the second verse. So now the favorite cousin is following the aunt's behavior. So we got into, he's a teenager, his cousin is transitioning. So this is the third verse. Demetrius is Marianne now. He's more confident to live his plan now. And the family is in disbelief this time, convincing themselves he ain't living discreet, he's fine. They said they never seen it in him, but I seen it. The Barbie dolls playing off reflection of Venus. He built a wall so tall you couldn't climb over it. He didn't laugh as hard when the kids started joking. Faggot, faggot, faggot. We ain't know no better. Middle school kids with no filter. However, he's repeating faggot, faggot, faggot again, because now he was elementary when the auntie transitioned. Now he's in middle school, a teenager. Are y'all not clocking this? Like, people are not paying attention. He's telling you, he's literally showing you in his words. This is why people think this man is a GOAT, because this is genius. He's telling you his story. He's telling you, I experienced a person transitioning in as an elementary kid, and now I'm experiencing my cousin transitioning as a middle schooler. This is the art form of rap, of storytelling through this form. So people who are acting like this is, I don't know. I just think it's stupid. I think it's stupid. Anyway, middle school kids. Middle school was horrible. This song's everything, especially the wordplay. Exactly. It's fire. Faggot, faggot, faggot. We ain't know no better. Middle school kids with no filter. However, I had to be very mindful of my good cousin. I knew exactly who he was, but I still loved him. And this is a clock this too. It's giving me chills. Mm, mm. Because this is a perfect observation too. Because he told you earlier in the conversation that the family was in disbelief, and the family was like they didn't see this in him. And he's saying, I seen it in him. So y'all acting like y'all didn't see it, but I seen it in him playing with the Barbies, being mindful of my cousin. This is a powerful, observant revelation. Because this is a rapper that's telling you, I have looked and examined the nuances of this relationship that I've seen with my cousin, and how the people around him are gaslighting him, about to transfer to be her. Are people around him gaslighting, acting like they didn't know what was up, and they did. I saw what was up, even as a teenager. I saw what was up. How many of us have experienced that? There's people who experience their parents saying, "Oh yeah, I knew," but there's also parents that be like, "Oh, this just came out of the blue. You're just popping this gay and trans stuff up on us, and we didn't suspect this at all." What? And here he is, the cishet teenager. Now he's a grown man reflecting on this. The cishet reflecting on it and saying, "Look, I saw it. How these motherfuckers didn't see it?" I knew exactly who he was, and I still loved him. Now, people who are have a problem with him saying the F word. All these beautiful things that he is saying and acknowledging in this song, and you uptight about the F word, you don't see the power in this man's lyrics, and you mad about the F word. You are throwing, if that's what you mad about, you are throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Is that a country saying that? Am I getting too country for y'all? That's what my country folks used to say. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because if you are tripping about the F word, when this cishet rapper is finally examining the trans experience on a public platform, y'all fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Y'all are toxic and late and tired. To me, that's my opinion. But I think y'all are stupid and y'all exactly what Dave Chappelle was talking about. I'm sorry. There should be room for them to talk about stuff like this. And I much rather cishet men examine in this way than what Dave Chappelle did on Closer. Now there's some weird things. There's some weird things on the other songs, some other songs, but this song I had no complaint about. And this song, because this is what was getting people up in a tizzy. I came in it from thinking that I was going to be negative because everybody, different people, cishet women, queer men, no trans people, but all the queer people, non-trans queer people, were saying these like negative things about it, and I thought when I listened to it, I was gonna hear some ignorance. You don't know how surprised I was when I'm listening to this, and I'm like, this is actually epic. What are y'all talking about? What are y'all talking about? Just because he used the F word to show this is what we would say. This is what we would say when I was ignorant in elementary, and then middle school is something. It shifted. Okay, so he goes. Demetrius is Marianne now. So remember, in the first verse, it was my auntie is a man now. Now is Demetrius is Marianne now. So this is the cousin. Demetrius Marianne now. I mean, he's really Marianne. Even took things further, changed his gender before Bruce Jenner was certain. So he was doing this before Bruce Jenner started coming out. That is another acknowledgement. We have talked about this many times in our circles of Black trans people. Many of us have been doing this work for years, transitioning way before Bruce, Caitlyn, Jenner. And the fact that this clown, this Republican clown, has more pull and platform is annoying when it comes to the trans conversation. And that pisses us off. And so Kendrick saying Mary Ann was changing her gender before Bruce Jenner was even certain. I love that. Living his truth, even if it's meant, even if it meant seeing a surgeon. We didn't talk for a while. He seems more distant, wasn't comfortable around me. Everything was offensive. But I recall we both had a sick sense of humor, made it raw, but then time changes all. Powerful. I want to read that again. We didn't talk for a while. He seemed distant, wasn't comfortable around me. Everything was offensive. But I recall we both had a sick sense of humor, made it raw, but time changes all. You got them cousins, them uncles that didn't get with the program fast enough. They being extra, don't know how to use the right pronouns. And you might have liked them. They was cool, but once you transition, I ain't got time for that shit. So you distance yourself from them. Is this not reflecting y'all experience? Is this not a cis man telling your reflection? Like he's showing you how he experienced this trans person distancing themselves. in a song. What song has done this in pop culture? Explain it to me. Tell me. But I recall we both had a sixth sense of humor, made it raw, and time changes all. Because it's not another serenity. It's reflecting mine. Let that distance and lack of access teach them how to respect you. Boom. Exactly. So going to the second verse. Demetrius is Marianne now. Now, what I want y'all to pay attention to is so far in the second verse, he has not flipped the gender, the pronoun gender. This is my critique where I'm like, because I know you are a wordsmith, I need to know why you went back and forth with the pronouns with your uncle. It was she, he, he. But when we are talking about Demetrius flipping to Marianne, it never flips to she. And because you are a brilliant wordsmith, I have no choice but to wonder why that choice was made. Because these words are chosen very carefully. And so why were you going back and forth with the trans man, the auntie when you were younger, but now that you're a little bit older, you didn't switch the language? So, all right, let's continue. Demetrius is Marianne now. Remember church Easter Sunday? I sat in the pew. You had stronger faith, more spiritual than these dudes were living life straight. Powerful, which I find ironic because the pastor didn't see him the same. He said my cousin was going through some things. He promised the world we living in was an act on abomination, and Demetrius was to blame. I knew you was conflicted by the feelings of the preacher man, wondering if God still called you a decent man. Still, you found the courage to be subservient just to anoint until he singled you out to prove his point, saying Demetrius is Marianne now. Church, his auntie is a man now. It hurt you the most because your belief was close to his words. Forcing me to stand now. I said, Mr. Preacher Man, should we love thy neighbor? The laws of the land and of the heart, what's greater? I recognize the study she was taught since birth, but that don't justify the feelings that my cousin preserved. The building was thinking out loud, bad angel. That's when you looked at me and smiled and said, thank you. Woo! Now look at that. I remember now in the song, his cadence is changing. There's a crescendo way in the way he's talking. I'm getting chills. Woo! So if you are listening to the song, there's a slow vibe, not a slow vibe, but a really calm vibe that he's giving in the beginning of the first and second and third verse. It's like a real calm telling the story. This is my auntie is a man now. Demetrius is Marianne now. It's really calm and slow, monotone. But when he gets to the fourth verse, which is the last verse, and he's talking about the preacher man, he is kind of crescendoing. His voice is more animated. It's more powerful. There's a music. Good rappers have a musicality to them that is not just I'm rapping. They are controlling sound. They are controlling a vibe. They are controlling. They're not just telling story through words. They're telling story through rhythm, through tone, just all these things. In the same way, a singer knows when to crescendo and climax to give you that powerful part of the song. Think yes, emotion. Think Tony Braxton. Unbreak my heart, say you love me again. When she started off, it's very smooth. But when she gets to that when she gets to the bridge, unbreak my heart, oh baby, come back and say you love me. Oh, break my heart, sweet darling. Without you, I just can't go on. Can't go on. She crescendos and uses that moment as the climax. This is what he is doing. He is building you up to the end. Very Whitney on I Will Always Love You. Absolutely. This is divas do this. Musical divas know this is a part of their greatness. This is a part of their how I can turn a phrase and how I can give you an intimacy in the beginning and build and build and build and build to the peak. That is a part of an artist's brilliance. And in this song, during this verse, he is building his tone, his emotion, his anger, he's clocking the hypocrisy of what this preacher is doing. Because he clocked it, if you pay attention, he says, I remember church Easter Sunday, I sat in the pew and your faith was stronger. You had stronger faith, more spiritual when these dudes were living lives straight. Now, I don't know about y'all, and I don't want to say this is everybody, but I know a bunch of queer people that have a connection to their spiritual, to God, and because they live with conviction, they are more dedicated to that Bible than some of the straight people who claim that they claim they hate gay people, but they don't ever go to church. They live in this straight life, but they don't ever do nothing when it comes to spirituality and loving the Lord. But I ain't want to gossip, but you ain't heard it from me. And that's what this is reminded. This part is another reflection where he is in the church and he sees his cousin being called out. You calling my cousin an abomination when I know my cousin. And this is forced him as now a man, not a grown man, but now I have enough power. I'm not a kid no more. I have enough power to speak up for my cousin because I know who this person is, because there's a human connection that I have had with this person. The human connection that I made with my uncle allows me to already be vulnerable and open enough for me to have a human connection with my cousin. And your preacher ass is up there preaching, and I know the shit you saying is a lie. I know it's not real. And this feeling that I have with my people is real. And there's a moment that you're forcing me to stand up for my cousin because now you're trying to use that pulpit, the power of that pulpit, to dog my cousin and talk shit about my cousin and call them an abomination and other them and condemn them when I know that's not about the Bible either. The Bible says, love your neighbor, and so on and so on and so on. So he's forced in a situation to put himself. He's forced in the scenario to put himself to stand up for his cousin. So much so that the cousin says, thank you. All right, I'm going to keep going. The day I chose humanity, that's the day I chose humanity over religion. The family got closer. It was all forgiven. I said them F-bombs. I ain't know no better. Clock the change. He says F-bombs. He don't say faggot. So now he's a grown man. So when he was talking about being a child, he was saying faggot, 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 faggot. When he was talking about middle school age people, he was saying faggot, 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 faggot. Now that he's saying this was the moment that I chose humanity over religion, he said, I said them F-bombs, correcting himself. Chills. Because the whole point of this conversation is I'm trying to explain how those people who are talking about him using the F word is bad, how they are not understanding. They're not understanding the context of his storytelling and how powerful this is, and they're ruining the moment that this could be. So, I said them F-bombs. I'm trying not to get emotional too. now you're trying to get me emotional. you you're trying to cut people's throat before because you're too stupid to see what's happening in the art form that he's presenting to you. Your brain, what what Nene says, you're not smart. You're not smart. You're too busy trying to attack people and you don't understand what he is doing here. I said them F-bombs, correcting himself because he is an adult now. I didn't know no better. Mistakenly, I didn't think that you'd know any different. See, I was taught words were nothing more than a sound. He wasn't taught the words had meaning. I was taught the words had nothing more than a sound. Now, mind you, in this moment, he is he's crescendoing in his delivery. See, I was taught words was nothing more than a sound. If ever they were pronounced without any intention, the very second you challenged that shit, I was kicking. Reminded me about a show I did out of the city. That time I brung a fan on stage to rap but disapproved the word that she couldn't say with me. To truly understand love, switch positions. Faggot, faggot, faggot. We can say it all together, but only if you let a white girl say nigga. So everybody think they're being smart by making the comparison between nigger and faggot when he does it in the song. If you continue and you listen and he understands it, he is pointing out the hypocrisy. He is using the language to point out the hypocrisy in himself. And let's be clear, Dave Chappelle doesn't do this. No, he doesn't have the brain skills. You can tell by his explanation and his alignment with J.K. Rowling. He doesn't have the brain skills. You can tell that Dave Chappelle doesn't have the brain skills because he erases the Black LGBT narrative out of his whole scenario. I just don't think some people value a straight man's opinion or experience rationalizing queerness. Because some of y'all are really toxic, baby. And some of y'all don't have value. And it's hard to sometimes know the difference. I'm somebody that likes when you can intelligently explain your experience with tenderness and love and throughout this song, he is talking about how he stood up for the person, how I still loved you. I looked past this bullshit. I did this. I questioned this. He is sharing the tenderness and the nuances throughout his experience. Most straight men are not doing that. Y'all are being assholes. Y'all are just being late and tired. And so y'all don't give people room, and just saying you disagree and if something is wrong to you is not fucking political, is not sharing your experience. That's sharing your hate. When men have intelligent conversations about their experience that's rooted in humanity, then we can listen. But that's far few and in between. This is one of the first songs I have ever saw that that convey the moments of time. There is a couple of songs that I feel like perfectly conveys a emotion, a moment in time, like a conversation that needs to be had and examined. Let me give you a couple of songs. Alanis Morissette, Perfect. If You're Perfect, I think it's called If You're Perfect, or just Perfect by itself. It's about a child and a parent's over, like being over critical, and their expectations being too high, and you just never are going to live up to that. Alanis Morissette, Perfect. Eminem, Stan. She's gonna go to wonder why we out of bed at all. That Stan song, The Stan, where he was explaining the unhealthy relationship between celebrity and fan, and how we can't be responsible for these crazy motherfuckers because some of them is crazy. I thought Stan was brilliantly written. It was a brilliant song. Really, this whole album was slept on, but I'm gonna call this song out in particular. But this whole album was brilliantly written. Jasmine Sullivan's Mascara. That lyric is sickening for the moment in time and what she's talking about, how she conveys it. Brilliant. There are just certain songs that share a thought process, that share an experience that may not be your experience, but is somebody' experience that only a brilliant mind can share, can do. Only certain people got this kind of bing game. It could all be so simple. Lauryn Hill, she had a bunch of songs on that album that were like that. Perfect. I used to love him, now I don't. A lot of them songs were brilliant, but X Factor being one that's really, really popular. X Factor, it's just beautifully written. And to me, if we're talking about a cishet man's experience with transness, we've never seen this done before, y'all. And he just killed it. We've never seen this done before, y'all. And he just killed it. And I don't want y'all to ruin it. I just really don't. And that's why I had to come on here to talk about it. Because y'all are ruining. If y'all are not allowing them, this doesn't say don't critique them. I'm not saying that. But this isn't the one that you should be going at his neck. This is the right way to do it, y'all. I'm sorry. This is the honesty. This is the nuance. This is I'm coming to you vulnerable. I'm coming to you letting you know how I feel. I'm coming to you letting you know how I changed and how I shifted. I'm literally coming to people who listen to me, who might not be listening to Diamond Stylz, who might not be listening to Raquel Willis, who might not be listening to Aria Saeed, who might not be listening to Dominique Morgan, who might not be listening to T.S. Madison, who might not be listening to Teak Milan, who might not be listening to Courtney Ziegler, who might not be listening to these powerful trans voices. I'm going to talk to them about it and how I experienced it. I'm going to talk to them about what I did and what happened to me and how I learned about people. The song was brilliant. So I say this. Also, when somebody's needle is moving, there is a vulnerability that is shared. There is there's a vulnerability in sharing, especially if you're not all the way on board yet in your understanding. Auntie Diaries is a good example of somebody telling their experiences with transness and that how they came to understand it. We are going to see more of this, especially from young men who have grown up with more examples of free trans people. Me personally, I will take whatever Auntie Diaries is over what Dave Chappelle's black mansplaining, anti-black turfy transphobia that the closer was any day. Whatever this is, I'll take this over any of that bullshit. Kevin Samuels, Umar Johnson, all them clowns, Tariq Nasheed, Boyce Watkins, and all them people. I'll take this over that. I'll take this over that any day. The lyrics are powerful. So yes. So that's my review. Um, that's my review of Kendrick Lamar's Auntie Diaries. The other songs on the album, there's a lot of interesting songs. So I don't know. I think he's a powerful lyricist and I think he does good. Okay. I have seen a lot of men on Twitter say that Kendrick summed up how they feel about their trans family members, so that's good. Come on. Yeah, I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. I think it's powerful. Um, and I'm not saying this is a public album. So of course, non-trans people um are going to have opinions about it. But as a black trans person, this was powerful to me. This was exactly what it was powerful. Um, yeah, the Kodak inclusion was weird. Yeah. N95 was interesting. The conversation with him and the girl, that what is it, Taylor or something? I don't know what her name is, but yeah, I haven't really dissected everything. I just wanted to dissect Auntie Diaries because it was a trans specific song, and that's I feel like that's a part of my job description to critique the culture from a trans black trans perspective. That's what I do, and so yeah, I'm gonna try to. I wanted to talk about that specifically. I haven't dissected every single song on the album, but this is about the song Auntie Diaries, not the album. There's some hotepery happening on the album that I've listened to the whole thing, But there are some things that I'm, some it's giving, it's giving some motherfucking Black Hebrew Israelite type of vibe. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. But this song, I have no problem with. I think it's beautiful. I think it's real. What do you think the point of using slurs about a marginalized group he isn't a part of? I've already explained that in my explanation of the song. If you're just now joining us, you're gonna have to go back and listen. I'm not about to explain that again. In his song, he goes through 3 layers of growth of time periods. He goes through when he was a kid, when he was a middle school age person, teenager, and then an adult. And he acknowledges the growth throughout those stages within this one song. If you are not seeing that, I just broke down all the lyrics. I've done it for you. If you're not getting it, I can't. There's nothing else I can explain. I can't do anymore. And I'm not trying to be funny, but I mean, what else can I do? I literally read word for word the whole song and broke it down and did it the best that I can. Okay, yeah, you gotta go back. But yes, I think that is a powerful song, and I think that when you don't, and you gave personal references. Yes, I did. Yes, I wanted to really give this conversation um, a critique because I think people are either being willfully ignorant, they're just being obtuse, they are being because I'm like, y'all can't be this dumb. Like it, but that's not true. People can't be that dumb. It doesn't. You either didn't listen to the lyrics, didn't read the lyrics, didn't pay attention. You don't understand how to critique art. That is also another thing. This is a whole other conversation. Um, I'm not gonna go deep into this, but this I'm gonna give you an example, and maybe some people will understand it. There are certain people who don't know enough about music to critique music. It's like people who say Beyonce can't sing. There's anybody who know anything about music know that Beyonce can sing. Is she Whitney Houston? No, she's not. But saying that she can't sing is just musically not correct. It's just not. It's just it's silly. And so you can say I Beyonce doesn't have a voice that I prefer. I don't like her voice. You can say that. That makes sense because you don't have to like somebody's voice. But saying that Beyonce can't sing is stupid. And I use that as an example because there are people who don't know the technicality of singing, technicality of music, technicality of certain things to know if this is great or not. Like it's like an architect who knows the intricacies of how to engineer and build homes. And from you, a person who don't know the difficulties of how to do certain things, you could come in the house and say, I don't like how this house was made. It just seems bland. And what you're really saying is that this is not my taste of house. But that architect can be like, oh, you don't see the brilliance of this house, the difficulty of how this house was made, because you don't understand how to make houses. You don't understand the nuances of how hard this house was, how difficult this house and the features of this house was to engineer. But as an architect, I can literally see like, oh my God, this is amazing work. Even if it's not my taste in house, I can see the amazing craftsmanship of this architecture because I am an architect who do these things. Do you see what I'm saying? But somebody who is not an architect will make their taste the will make their taste the as if that's their taste the extent of their expertise. Taste is subjective. Anybody can have taste, and anybody can be like, oh, I don't particularly like this, and that's okay for people to do. But I think artistry, uh, there you have to have some basis of knowledge of how this artistry works. When you think about rap, it's about your use of words, your use of storytelling, the use of cadence of your voice, the how you tell a story, how you convey the story. It's multiple things that are happening. And so if you are just worried about that word and you are not understanding why he used that word, it's like you looking at a painting and you being offended by yellow. And he has this little portion of yellow in different parts of his painting. And you like, why did you use yellow? I didn't want you to use yellow. I don't like you using yellow. But I needed this as the artist. I needed this yellow to make this blue, black, and red, and da 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 da, to make you understand why this yellow is important in my painting. I'm laying out the words and the reasoning in the words in every brushstroke of why this particular yellow is important to my story. And yes, you may be offended by yellow if it's in another context, but in this painting, in this work of art, I am telling you, I'm giving you why this yellow is important. And it supersedes, not necessarily, you get to decide this, because I don't want to tell somebody that they can't be offended. But to me, Diamond Stylz, his art, the purpose of his art supersedes your offense to me, to Diamond Stylz. It may not supersede it to you, and that's fine. It is totally fine for you to be offended by anything that you're offended by. But to Diamond Stylz, as a person who critiques culture around transness, I don't give a fuck about you being offended by him using the F word in the way that he used it. And he broke it down in the lyrics to the song to why he was using it. He wasn't just willy-nilly calling somebody a faggot, like in dance hall songs and Jamaican artists and some hip hop artists. He's not willy-nilly using homophobia just to be using it. I'm just saying faggots and dyke and queer just to say it. No. As I have broke down in the past hour, it was very intentional. And so, if I was talking to Kendrick Lamar, the question that I would have is why, and maybe I'm not understanding the ending as well. That's why you are a legend and OG. Because he goes back and forth in the beginning with when we're talking about his uncle with the pronouns in the verse about his cousin, he didn't go back and forth. He continued to misgender. And I like I said, this is somebody's art, and I don't understand everything about it. And I would love to ask him, like, what, because I know that was intentional. Why didn't you do that? And somebody earlier said it could be representative of him holding on to patriarchy or whatever. Could be, I don't know. But I would love to have that conversation, to sit down. I would love to sit down and have that conversation with him. Oh my God, I would love to sit down and do that. But yeah, I think it was powerful. I think it was brilliant. I think Um, there's a reason why people think that Kendrick Lamar is the GOAT. There's a reason why. There's a reason why. And this, to me, if I didn't know anything else about him, this is a clear reason why he's a GOAT. So yes. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Uh, make sure y'all thumbs up if you are listening, if you are here and you are enjoying the conversation. Thumbs up, share this video. Yeah, I am on my last leg of my vacation. I am. I will be back pretty soon to the States, jet lagged and tan. um, but yeah, and we will be back on our normal schedule. If you are listening to the podcast, I just did the interview with thank you, Gigi. I just did the interview with Ian L. Haddock for with Normal Anomaly. It was a great conversation. I hope y'all liked it. I love Ian's openness, and he's always just real and down to earth and just cool people. And so I hope y'all followed him and went to his page and let him know where you found him if you were new to him. Support his work. So yes, I hope y'all enjoyed. I pre-recorded these for y'all so I don't have to worry about them while I was on vacation. So I worked hard trying to get them up and ready and scheduled to be out every Thursday. Um, I did a lot of editing the week before, all because I had to do March's plate and these and have them up and ready before I left. So I hope y'all appreciate my work. But yeah, I do this for me, actually. But y'all are included. I do it for me because I enjoy it. I enjoy talking about culture and sharing people, people who I admire. And I hope y'all enjoy them. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Let me think of so next week. I don't have an episode scheduled. I was hoping that I was meeting some people here in Europe, and I was hoping I was going to be able to record with them for this week's episode, but nothing, literally nothing worked out with the people I was supposed to record with. So we won't have an episode next week, next Thursday. We won't have an episode, but we'll be back with an episode because I'll be home by the Thursday after that. So, yes. Mm, 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 mm. But all right, y'all. I will see y'all later. And like I said, listen to that. I would say ignore, not ignore. I don't know. Y'all can listen to the whole album, but listen to the song, listen to the lyrics, and actual follow the lyrics. Like Google the lyrics and follow it, and listen to the song. It's a powerful song, anyway. That is fine. I'm a strong advocate for regular breaks in podcasts with T with Queen and Jay. Yeah, T with Queen and Jay is on a break, honey. They are on a break. Woo! They are on a break. I might use the sound of this as the episode for I might do that. I might use the sound. I might edit the sound of this and use it as the episode for um next week. That's an easy solution. Because everybody who listens to the podcast don't necessarily listen to me on YouTube. It's kind of strange how those are two different audiences. Because everybody, everybody, everybody ain't into watching videos. Some people are into the passive nature of watching podcasts. Some people, of listening to podcasts. Some people are not into podcasts. They rather watch a video. Um, some people are into tweets. So I did a whole tweet thread about it. Yeah. So yeah. But all right, y'all. I will chat with y'all next Friday. Is that when I will see y'all? I think if I'm home by next Friday, but I might have an event. Y'all know it's the last week of May. Last week of May on through June is like the Super Bowl for queer people who are in activist educational work. Because that's when everybody is performing their allyship and trying to bring you on for events. So yeah, I got tons of events happening. I will be in New York 2 times in June, around the 13th and 14th, and around the 12th, not around the 24th through the 26th. Yeah, so I will be in New York, and so that's my June. That's gonna be my pride spot. I'm trying to find a way that I can stay there because I got 2 separate events organized by 2 different people. So I'm trying to think of how I can stay that whole time in New York without it. But y'all fucking hotels is expensive. And I don't want them to eat up all my money that I'm making. So I gotta re-up. But I'll figure it out. Yeah, I'll be in. But yeah, if y'all know anybody doing some events, make sure y'all tell them, suggest me. If they got some coins, not for free, but if they got some coins, suggest me, darling. Ask them to bring me on, fly me out, flew a bitch out. Busy, blessed, and booked. That's why you need resting. That is true. But all right, y'all. I will talk to y'all next week. Love y'all. Bye bye.